Residents in South Ukraine are reeling from atrocities they say occurred as they were trying to escape catastrophic flooding earlier this month. The flooding was triggered by a breach in the Kakhovka Dam on the Dnipro River. Survivors in the Kherson region accuse Russian forces of firing on them as they fled their homes in Russian-held areas. Amnesty International has also criticized Russia for what it calls a callous disregard for human life, accusing Moscow of failing to rescue those trapped in floodwaters. DW has taken a look at how the pro-Kremlin news channel's coverage of the story compares with the reality on the ground.
Hours after the Kakhovka Dam burst and a Ukrainian rescue team is searching for life on the front lines of the war zone, when a drone finds something stirring in a home in Russian-occupied territory.
I got out of the window, sat on the roof, and I witnessed the truly apocalyptic scenes. Houses were floating by. That's when I just raised my hands to the skies and said, "My Lord, tell me what to do. What can I do for them to save my kids?"
Her prayers were answered by the Ukrainian military, who braved floodwater and enemy sniper fire to evacuate Katerina, her kid, and the family's cat.
And when we saw the guys on a boat coming for us, I cannot put this feeling into words. My God, I was crying all the way to Kherson.
Such missions were fraught with danger. Ukraine says this footage shows Russian forces firing on a rescue boat. The smoke from an upper window, unmistakable. It happened several times, they say. 3 people were killed and 10 were injured in the attacks. Vitaly Kolotniak was one of them. Friends and family have come to grieve for a man who was killed while trying to flee.
I have no words for them. Shooting at the boats with children, women, elderly people. All civilians, you know that very well. Those were simple villagers who were evacuated.
As well as attacks on evacuation efforts, Russia is accused of abandoning the residents under its control. To turn on the pro-government news in Russia, though, is to be fed a very different story. Newsreaders refer to the blast at the dam as a Ukrainian terrorist attack and claim Russia is carrying out repair works under shelling from Ukrainians. Coverage of evacuations is full of boasts about Russia's generous humanitarian aid for victims, some of whom are paraded before Russian government cameras to offer praise.
I congratulate everyone. I'm thankful to the Russians. We're grateful that they've helped us with clothes, food and medicine.
Back in Ukrainian-controlled Kherson, Yulia Vala remembers it differently. She and her family are among the 150 people rescued from Russian-held territory.
Russian Federation provided nothing. No aid, no evacuation. They abandoned people alone with the disaster.
The search for flood survivors is now over, but the search for the truth may never end.
Matthew Moore reporting there. And joining me now is DW's Russia analyst Konstantin Eggert, who is in Vilnius. Konstantin, Ukraine and Russia have continuously blamed each other for the destruction of the Kakhovka Dam. What's the evidence that is there so far?
Well, frankly, a lot of arguments that Russians are advancing are based essentially just on one predication, on one imaginary, I think, idea that Ukraine managed to destroy the dam by consistent shelling. But frankly, it's impossible, as far as I understand, having gone, I'm not an engineer, just probably as you are, but I went through a few expert opinions, and my understanding is that it's very difficult to destroy the dam with consistent shelling or even shelling by missiles unless it continues for quite a long time. And this is definitely not the case. While what the Ukrainians are saying is that the blast happened internally, and the bomb or the device that exploded was placed in a technical tunnel which ran through the dam. The dam was under Russian control. So how could Ukrainians basically blow up mine the dam, which was not under their control? That's very, very strange. And also, I think that in terms of the damage done to Ukrainian population, to Ukrainian villages and towns, to Ukrainian agriculture, this is something that Ukrainians would not do, because that is actually very destructive towards their own country, their own economy, and their own people. So I think the evidence is still more pointing towards Russia.
Now, experts say that the Kremlin has conducted one of the most aggressive, overt messaging campaigns in the war, just in order to shape the narrative around this incident. How successful are these disinformation campaigns, and who are they targeting?
Indeed, I think that the campaign was very aggressive and very vocal from the beginning. That also points to the fact that Russia was ready for that. But frankly, I think that the effect of, especially on Twitter, of this massive messaging was not as huge as probably the Kremlin desired. I think the reason is that over this nearly year and a half, Russia produced so many lies and committed so many crimes that even those who are not certain, about who is to blame in this war, are now gradually, if not turning against Russia, then turning away from the way Russia manipulates the situation, because they simply do not believe what the Russian Twitter accounts, social media accounts are presenting them with.
DW Russia analyst Konstantin Eggert there. Thank you very much, Konstantin.